Yo, the Big D is live with a late night breaking news on the Spunky Strength and Sports YouTube page. Before I tell you all things Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, blockbuster news, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Strength and Sports YouTube page. You not only see this stream, but see all the Big D podcast videos I upload. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So obviously, it seems like coaching carousel news keeps breaking. I mean, I wonder who's next, but there have been two big time coaching decisions today. The first one I will talk about is Nick Saban retiring from the University of Alabama. Obviously, when I've initially heard Nick Saban was retiring, I was a little surprised. But then thinking about it, I'm like, Nick Saban doesn't have to prove anything. How about this? And 17 years at Alabama, Nick Saban won double-digit games in every one of those years but one, and that was 2007. Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach ever. 7 national titles, 6 at Alabama, and he won them in different ways. The first couple eras were defense, run the ball and just suffocate teams defensively. And then, the 2015 national championship with Derrick Henry, and then a change. As college football evolved, the spread offenses, great passing offense, saw what the Tua completed that touchdown pass to Devontae Smith in Atlanta, and then that great Alabama COVID 2020 team with Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Najee Harris, that team that could not be stopped. That Alabama team that could have put up points against anybody. Buddy, I don't care if you want to put 2001 Miami, 2004 USC, 2005 Texas. That Alabama team would have put up points on everybody. And Nick Saban is not just the greatest college football coach ever, he's one of the greatest coaches ever. And something looked different this year because Nick Saban is always intense. He's always balking at his players. He's like, dit, 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 dit. But we saw a cheerful side of Nick Saban, which led me to think maybe he's done Alabama. Maybe he's going to head off into the sunset. Maybe he's having his last dance. And despite Alabama losing the Rose Bowl, Nick Saban's got nothing else to prove. And, college football's tough. You may think it's easy because Nick Saban's winning every game, but, the transfer portal where guys can leave every 5 seconds if they're not playing enough, or NIL where great college football players get paid, so it's harder to get guys. Nobody's going to get every recruit they want. These coaches want, plus coaches leave for the positions, so it's a 24/7, 365 grind. There's no break for these coaches. I mean, recruiting, NIL, transfer portal, boosters. There's no real leisure time for these coaches now. Nick Saban 71, 72. It's a young man's game. Go enjoy life. You could be a TV commentator, broadcaster, make money there, but not that Nick Saban needs money, although I think he'd be really good broadcasting. But we've seen great coaches, not just in college football, but more importantly, college basketball. Ball retire or take time off coaching. Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, Jay Wright have all stepped away from coaching. Even Sean Payton took a year off from the Saints. Sometimes, when you're 71, 72 years old, it's not the drive to keep coaching. Nick Saban's not going to coach until he's 80, 85 years old, like Joe Paterno at Penn State or Bobby Bowden at Florida State. Nick Saban wants to enjoy life, and he can enjoy life. Look back and think, I'm the greatest college football coach ever. Won 6 natties at Alabama, 7 in total if you include the one at LSU. And 50, 100 years from now, we'll be looking back and thinking Nick Saban's done great wonders. But, being a 71, 72-year-old defense mind coach in an offensively in era poses his challenges. We saw with Alabama in the Rose Bowl, an offensive-minded Jim Harbaugh beat Nick Saban. An offensive-minded Caleb DeBoer won with Penix in the Sugar Bowl. Think 9 or 10 of the 14 playoff coaches bring an offensive-minded background. So offensive-minded coaches have an advantage. And Nick Saban, Alabama's recruiting classes are still great, but maybe not quite what other classes have been, where Georgia's getting guys, Texas getting guys, Florida State's getting guys, Ohio State or Michigan would get guys. And I think Nick Saban decided, I'm not going to be one of these coaches being here for the next 3-4 years, potentially my legacy. I'm the GOAT. I'm just right off into the sunset. I saw Alabama playing in the 2018 Orange Bowl, Kyler and Tua. Not bad seeing Kyler and Tua play in Orange Bowl, right? Now the ultimate question is, who gets the impossible task of replacing Nick Saban in Alabama? It's like John Shire replacing Coach K at Duke. Good luck replacing the GOAT. But somebody's going to replace Nick Saban. And I think the 3 big names I keep hearing are Clemson's Dabo Swinney, Oregon's Dan Lanning, and Washington's Kalen DeBoer. And 2 of them bring Alabama backgrounds. Start with Dabo. Obviously beat Nick Saban for 2 national championships. One with Deshaun, one with Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence actually went 2-2 against Nick Saban. 15, 16, 17, 18. 4 straight years. Dabo's done great things for Clemson. Win 2 natties. Put Clemson on the spotlight as one of the best programs, not just in the ACC, but college football. But we've seen the last couple of years, Clemson hasn't been the same without Deshaun or Trevor. And the Tigers keep losing games. I remember Clemson losing to Duke of all teams. And Dabo may think, he's, 54 years old. Remember, Dabo was a wide receiver at Alabama on the Tide's 1992 team. So Dabo may be thinking, if I will ever leave Clemson, Alabama's the perfect place. Recruits many of the same players, so there wouldn't be an unfamiliarity. I think Dabo would be a big name, but if not one of the best possible hire Alabama could make. The second coach with an Alabama background, Dan Lanning. Lanning was a graduate assistant on the Tide's 2015 national championship team. So brings that experience. Also coach in the SEC, some recruit, and Atlanta's a really good recruiter, defensive background like Saban. Even Plus has done a really good job at Oregon. 2 years at Oregon, 22-5, won the Fiesta Bowl a week and a half ago. So plus he's 37, 38 years old. So he's got the chance of being at Alabama for 10, 15 years and creating his own legacy. And then the third coach is Kalen DeBoer. And obviously, three NAIA titles with Sioux Falls in the mid-late 2000s. And then eventually became an OC, an offensive coordinator at Fresno State, Indiana, which is where he and Pennis together. Then he became the head coach at Fresno State. And then 2 unbelievable years at Washington, 25-3, led Washington to a Pac-12 title, college football playoff, beating Texas in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, of course, losing to Michigan, but everybody's lost to Michigan the last couple of years. Other than Michigan State, Georgia, and TCU. And the Bull brings an offensive mind background, and one where I think the quarterback he can fit with the quarterbacks. I mean, Michael Penix became a Heisman Trophy finalist and a likely first-round pick under the Bull. Plus, offensive mind coaches these young offensive minds seem to be the way more teams are going, whether in college or in the NFL. And the Bull has got that ground of maybe not needing a 4 or 5-star recruit, taking what he's got and making lemons out of lemonade. So the tide change in the SEC. We'll see what happens. Alabama's going to get a big name because Alabama's probably the best job in college football. I mean, you could argue a few others, but Alabama, I don't think Alabama will be out looking for coaches much longer. But whether it's Lanning, Dabo, Kalen DeBoer, or somebody else, the Tide will get a big name. And earlier this afternoon, the other big coaching news was that Pete Carroll would no longer be coaching the Seahawks. A little like Saban, Pete's done great things with the Seahawks. Only 3 coaches ever. Pete, Jimmy Johnson, and Barry Switzer have both won a national championship in college and a Super Bowl in the NFL. That's a pretty darn good achievement. Secondly, Pete, for being 71, 72 years old, brings as much energy as any fella I've ever seen as a coach. But it's time for a change in Seattle. I don't know. I mean, the Seahawks, talent-wise this year, were better than a 9-8 record. The offensive line has always been a weak spot, whether it was with Russ or now Geno Smith. And Seattle's talent did not meet expectations. The Seahawks should have been a playoff team with all the young guys they drafted last year, and then adding Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigman, the wide receiver from Ohio State, and then Zach Charbonnet. The Seahawks should have been a playoff team, but instead Seattle lost twice to the Rams. Team with, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, but a really young offensive line, and Sean McVay beat it twice. And we've seen Seattle I mean, Pete's a defense-minded coach. Seattle relies more on running the ball, playing good defense, and while that could win games, the Seahawks are never going to win. The Seahawks need to get an offensive-minded coach. Somebody who will use Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, JSN, and the running backs. Because talent-wise, the Seahawks are good enough to not just make the playoffs, but win a game or two. Even the NFC West with McVay and Kyle Shanahan. Now, we know Pete Carroll's a Hall of Fame coach. Won a Super Bowl, got to another one. I mean, Pete Carroll's coaching record with the Seahawks, 137, 89, and 1, with 10 playoff wins. Win record 11 of 14 seasons. I think the question is with Seattle, who will Seattle get as his next head coach? Because the obvious candidate is going to be Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator of the Seahawks. So, be a pretty seamless transition. But, again, defensive-minded coach. Could Dan Quinn get an offensive mind, really good offensive mind to develop the offensive line, to get the most out of these wide receivers? Also, do the Seahawks maybe think about getting a different quarterback? Because Geno Smith was great in 2022, but regressed big time in 2023. So the Seahawks need to do one of two things. One, either get the most out of Geno Smith, or two, maybe think about getting one of these guys. I mean, Caleb Williams, Drake May will probably be long gone. Jane Daniels could be long gone. Michael Pennis played at Washington, and Bo Nix played at Oregon. So both those guys are familiar with the Pacific Northwest. I think Bo Nix would be a really good quarterback, someone who could play, bring some athleticism, bring an accurate throw of the football. And for Pete, I think he'll be an advisor with the Seahawks, but we'll see what happens. I mean, could Shane Waldron be one of these OCs becoming a head coach? See there? Could the Seahawks be in play for Ben Johnson? I don't think Bill Belichick's coach Seattle. Maybe Mike Vrabel if Belichick stays in New England. Yeah, I don't think that happens, but for Pete being a defense-minded coach, the Seahawks were not great on defense. I don't know. And that's with Seattle having a ton of picks the last 2 years. So it's going to be odd not seeing Pete Carroll coach the Seahawks, and really odd not seeing Nick Saban coach Alabama football on Saturday afternoons. But as they say, the show must go on, and there will be new coaches coaching Alabama and the Seattle Seahawks. And who knows, maybe somebody else. I mean, Mike Vrabel surprised us yesterday, being fired by the Titans. Nick Saban, Pete Carroll leaving. Could Bill Belichick be next? So I know it's 11:19, 11:20 Eastern time, but thanks for tuning into this late night stream. We'll be back with more content throughout the week, leading into a frigid, super wild card weekend.